I have not been enjoying contrast much lately, but I've been getting an awful.
That's because you're in step 1 instead of in step 5. So what happens between step 1 and 5? What happens to you? What do you accomplish between step 1, where contrast just shows up, and step 5, where you appreciate it? What happened? You became a better focuser.
I played more and I stopped.
You became a better focuser, and you become a better focuser, and you care more in a more pronounced way of how you feel. You're not willing to put up with emotions that don't feel good.
Correct.
That's all that's required between step 1 and step 5, is a stronger determination to feel good, which brings about a more constant awareness of how you are feeling, and then a willingness to do something about shifting the emotion by not needing to change a condition you can't change. When you think you've got to change a condition, or when you think you can change a condition in order to improve your emotion, you're in trouble. But when you show yourself that you can change the emotion without the condition changing, now you've mastered your point of attraction.
Okay. I believe I have a purpose. I believe I know my purpose. You brought up something about the cheese. The Swiss cheese.
Your purpose isn't about what you will do. Your purpose is to joyfully find stuff to do. That's your purpose. What's your purpose in life? To joyfully find stuff to do. But what am I supposed to do? Joyfully find stuff to do. Well, should I do that? Doesn't matter. Should I do that? Doesn't matter. Should I do that? Doesn't matter. Just find joyful stuff to do. That's your purpose. That's your purpose. Nobody's assigned you. Most people think, my purpose is to find the most awful thing and conquer it. That's my purpose. Growth, growth, growth. Now, your purpose is joy.
Okay. I'm good at that.
Yeah.
I just need to allow it more and not take criticism from those who see me as being too playful, not serious enough.
Well, the only people who will call you too playful are those that are out of alignment and working too hard.
There's a lot of those in my life.
Everybody can be independent. In other words, if you're independent of each other, then it's really not any of your business what anybody else is doing.
But you did bring up about working the Swiss cheese process on relationships. I have a lot of relationships in my life, and they're all very, very important to me. They were all given to me, and I cherish them, and they gave me more relationships. How do I work that Swiss cheese process on relationships again?
Well, remember that what that process is, the process assumes that there's something that you're trying to accomplish that is so big that you don't know even where to begin it. So that's kind of where you're at. How do I accomplish that? It's just too big to even get your thoughts around. So you take a subject, could be the whole subject of relationships, or it could be the improvement of any one relationship. And you sort of break it down into a whole bunch of what you might call aspects that you might focus upon. And then you move forward on whichever one feels easiest. The path of least resistance means what feels easiest, what's calling you in the most natural way. So let's talk about all these relationships that are sort of overwhelming you. So let's make a big relationship template, and what are the components on it that you want to put in there? So it's daughter. Is there a daughter in there? Is there more than one?
Mm-hmm.
How many of the M are in there?
There's 2 daughters and 4 sons.
2 daughters, 4 sons. Any grandkids?
13.
13 grandkids. Anybody else significant?
Spouses. 5.
5 spouses of theirs. And how about you?
I'm single, one man.
All right.
One man who's not.
So you got a lot going on. You got a lot going on. All right. More than anyone should ever have to deal with, really. All doing all kinds of things, spinning out of control. So of all of those, is any one of them easy?
Yes. 2 sons.
So spend all your time with them. We're not just talking about going. We're talking about let your thoughts go there, let your appreciation go there. In other words, because that's easy. And so now on the subject of relationships, you're in alignment. 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 And so what happens is, as you focus upon those where it flows easily, now on the subject of relationships, you're tuned in. And now, because you're tuned in, because you allowed yourself to tune in, now your broader perspective will flow about the others. And you know, this is the thing. Oh, we're so happy to tell you this. When we did this process with your inner being, all of them were just like those two sons to your inner being. Every one of them was easy for your source energy. Every one of them. And so as you choose those that are easy for you, you and your inner being harmonize, 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 harmonize. You getting this? Until now, you're looking at relationships the way your inner being does, and now they all look and are comfortable and easy and expanding. You got that, didn't you?
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. So now let's take another one. Let's take any one person. You don't have to name them, but hold it in your daughter. Who is more difficult for you. And so let's make that whole cheese about her. And now let's put several pieces in there. Let's say there's the time you spend, there's the things she wants. What are other aspects that make up that relationship? Pieces of it.
Anger.
All right. So
she's very angry.
It's all right. What we're asking for are things that you think that you need to do about that relationship. What are some of them?
Relax.
Spend time with her.
Relax.
Give her money. Give her guidance. Talk her off the ledge. In other words.
Okay. Accept, encourage, support to a certain extent, know my own boundaries, love.
Well, we're just talking about
children
in its raw and ragged form, as it is, sort of like someone would approach this thing of responsibility that they've got to do. What are the aspects of that responsible relationship that you feel? What are they?
Example.
Say again?
Be an example.
Well, you're doing what we've always taught. You're jumping to the solution, but we want to demonstrate the way this process will work. You're calling it a sort of difficult relationship. So we want you to sort of state the components of the relationship, both the difficult components and the less difficult components and the easy components of the relationship.
Okay. We're living together.
Boom.
As opposites, personalities.
Have different approaches to things.
Very different. Share a love for the children.
Yes. Sharing the same space. Who does what? Who's responsible for what? Who pays for what? Who disciplines the children?
Who's the boss?
Who is the boss of this house? So there it all is. You can all kind of see the basis of it. What piece of it feels the best?
The children. I can get in the vortex with my grandchildren in a heartbeat.
All right. Those grandchildren are actually on another Swiss cheese map altogether. But this is the mother of these children. And so what piece of that feels the best to you? You said our mutual love for the children. So that's a good place to start. So she's a really good mother. She's a really good mother. And so that piece is easy to focus on, isn't it? She's a really good mother. What else? Anything else? Doesn't have to be anything.
Very strong-willed. It's a good thing. I'm not.
She's strong-willed and
she's strong, yeah.
She's clear?
She's not overly emotional. Yeah.
Not sensitive to her guidance system.
Not sensitive.
That's too bad.
Yeah.
So far, the only thing that we've got from you that feels really good is your mutual love and appreciation for the children. So let's just assume that that's the only thing that's really flowing easily. What we are saying is, as you focus there and only there, in other words, in the same way that we said, just spend all your time with those two boys, we're saying spend all your time relative to this relationship called your daughter on that one aspect. Spend all your time there. Let that one that is so easy, let it train you, because your inner being feels that way about all of those things. But you only feel that way about one of those things. So as you allow yourself to naturally feel that way about one of those things, you sync up with source, you sync up with source, you sync up with source. And this is what we want you to hear until your habit, when you think of your daughter, is to sync up with source. Can you hear the power of that?
Yeah.
To sync up with source, not to go to the problem you had when she was a teenager, not go to the argument that you had yesterday, to sync up with source. And before you know it, those other aspects will dissipate for lack of activity. And this aspect will amplify because of attention to it until you and your source will be on the same vibrational wavelength relative to this person. And then watch what happens in your relationship. Powerful, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
Something more? That pretty much did it, didn't it?
It did. That's most important.
Thank you.